Hello and welcome to A Shot of Wildlife. In this video, I'm going to tell you 8 facts that most people don't know about pheasants. When it comes to pheasants, especially from a UK perspective, the first thing I'd like to speak about is their history and current status in the country. Pheasants are not a native species and were first brought to the UK from Asia around 100 AD. This was by wealthy Romans who kept the birds around their villas for eating. However, after the fall of the Roman Empire, evidence suggests that pheasants died out, only to be reintroduced by the Normans after 1066. It seems that pheasants have remained in varying numbers in the country since then, and whilst they do have a self-sustaining population that breeds in the wild, this is heavily supplemented by captive reared birds that are released every year to be shot. Somewhere between 35 and 46 million were reared and released last year alone. Whilst pheasants are often looked at as one species, which is the common pheasant, a lot of research has been carried out in recent years to see if this is actually the case, and it turns out that it probably isn't. Genetic studies of pheasants from around the world have identified 8 distinct lineages. These have been mixed with one another by people, and although each of them may have represented a separate species, the researchers were only willing to describe 3 species when they published their results. There are physical differences between each of them, but if I went too far into that, this video would be much too long. I always think of pheasants as rather slow flying birds, and I may have actually said that in a previous video featuring them, but it turns out they are quite fast over short distances. They have an average flying speed of between 35 and 48 miles per hour, but they can reach 60 miles per hour if they are alarmed or being chased. Most of the time, pheasants prefer to run instead of taking flight, and they can reach 10 miles per hour on the ground, which is faster than a typical person's running speed. On average, less than a third of the pheasants that are released each year in the UK are actually shot, and while some captive reared birds do survive, most of them don't. One of their biggest killers is cars, but they are also easy prey for a lot of native predators. The list of animals that will hunt them is long, but includes foxes, buzzards, badgers, stoats and weasels, and the number of species that feed on pheasant carrion is even longer. This does mean easy food for a lot of native animals, but it has a knock-on effect. In areas where pheasants are reared, predators and scavenger numbers are often inflated, creating higher pressure on native prey species. Whilst pheasants are quite vulnerable, they do have a couple of adaptations to help them avoid getting eaten. One of the most obvious is only applicable to females and young birds, and that is their brilliant camouflage. Pheasants often rely on this, and instead of instantly fleeing from potential danger, they'll sometimes drop low into vegetation and try to hide, only bursting to life when they think their cover is blown. Despite their apparent blindness to approaching vehicles, with eyes on the side of their heads, pheasants have brilliant peripheral vision. Females can see more than 310 degrees around them, and males around 290 degrees, all without moving their heads. Many birds that originate in warm, dry countries, including pheasants, have evolved to not have regular access to water, yet they still need to keep their feathers and skin clean. So, instead of taking water baths, they usually take dust baths instead. This might not seem sensible to us, but by rolling in and brushing dust through their feathers, they are able to remove parasites, whilst absorbing any moisture or extra oil from their skin. This keeps their feathers in tip-top condition, which is extra important for males if they want to claim a territory and to find mates. Pheasants are polygynous, which means that males will mate with multiple females, but females will usually only mate with one male. For this to work, males compete with one another to try to claim territories and the females therein. This competition often starts with showing off, puffing their feathers and strutting side by side to try to intimidate their rivals. And it turns out they have ways of showing each other how fit they are without coming to blows. Males with larger wattles and ear tufts are more likely to win fights, and can often avoid having to do so just by showing them off. When they do come to blows, their duels can last from a few seconds to many minutes, and often involve biting, scratching, and trying to gouge one another with special spurs that males have on the back of their legs. When pheasants survive throughout the winter, they will happily breed in the UK. Each female will lay between 8 and 12 eggs in a clutch, tucking them away in a simple ground nest hidden in long grass or under hedges. Sometimes hens will sneak eggs into other pheasants' nests to hopefully increase their chances of at least some of their chicks surviving. After about 23 days of incubation, the chicks hatch, and they're up and moving almost immediately. They'll stick close to their mum for around 10 weeks, after which point they're fully independent. And that's all 8. Tell me, did you know all of those already? And do you think there's any other facts that I should have included? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.